Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. This time we're going to be looking at this document I found online. It's called Once You Master Quantum Entanglement, Your Subconscious Unlocks Your Hidden Energy. It's a PDF.
Wow.
Yeah, right? It's a very wild title.
It is, it definitely sounds like it's promising a lot.
Yeah. So we're going to be diving into quantum entanglement today, but not just like the sciencey stuff, We're going to be looking at how it maybe connects to our thoughts and feelings and maybe even like our ability to kind of make things happen in our lives.
It's definitely a fascinating area where physics and like personal growth kind of intersect.
Exactly. And it's kind of out there, a little bit. It's not your typical like self-help stuff. But that's why we're here. We like to push the boundaries a little.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who doesn't love a good mind-bending deep dive?
Right. So before we get too far into it, let's just kind of lay the groundwork. For anyone who's maybe not super familiar with quantum entanglement, how would you explain it? Like in simple terms.
Okay, so imagine you have two dice, right? And they're somehow linked, like magically linked. So no matter how far apart you roll them, they always land on the same number. That's kind of like a simplified way to think about how entangled particles behave.
Okay, so they're connected somehow, even if they're miles apart.
Yeah, exactly. They're connected in this way that goes beyond distance and even time. Like they influence each other instantly. It's pretty mind-blowing.
So like if one particle spins up, the other one instantly spins down, even if they're like across the universe from each other.
Yep, that's the idea. And the crazy thing is this isn't just some theory. It's been actually proven.
Really?
Yeah, back in the 80s, there was this physicist named Elaine Aspect, and he did all these experiments with photons. Those are like particles of light.
Okay.
And he showed that they were doing this spooky action at a distance. That's actually what Einstein called it. Spooky action at a distance.
Wow, even Einstein was freaked out by it.
Yeah, he really was. It kind of challenged everything we thought we knew about how the universe works.
That's so cool. So this document we're looking at takes this idea of quantum entanglement and says, hey, maybe it applies to more than just these tiny particles. Like maybe it applies to our thoughts and our consciousness too.
Right. They're basically saying if everything is made up of these tiny particles, and these particles can be entangled, then maybe our thoughts and emotions could be entangled with the universe somehow.
Yeah. And I can see how that'd be a really appealing idea for people. Like,
Yeah.
it kind of makes you feel like we're all connected, part of this big cosmic web.
Totally. And it opens up some really interesting possibilities. Like, what if our thoughts aren't just these things happening in our heads, but they actually have a real impact on the world around us?
Yeah, that's a big idea. Okay, but I have to ask, how does this document actually support that? Like, how do our thoughts actually affect reality? I noticed they use this term vibrational frequency a lot. What do they mean by that?
Well, that's where it gets a little more speculative. They talk about how thoughts have a certain frequency of vibration that can interact with the energy field of the universe. It's kind of like how they say the heart has an electromagnetic field.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, there's this research from the Heart Math Institute that showed how our emotions can actually change the electromagnetic field around our hearts. And this field can extend outward, beyond our bodies.
So they're saying our thoughts and emotions might work in a similar way, putting out some kind of energy signal.
Right, and according to the document, this energy, this vibration, is what's entangling with the universe and attracting similar vibrations back to us.
So wait, if I'm thinking positive thoughts, I'm sending out this positive frequency that attracts positive experiences into my life. And if I'm constantly thinking negative thoughts, it's like I'm attracting more negativity.
That's basically what they're saying. The
Yeah.
document says our subconscious mind is like always sending out these frequencies, and it's like a two-way street. Whatever you put out there comes back to you.
That's pretty intense. But even if we go with that, what about all the bad things that happen to us? We don't choose those, right? Like we're not intentionally attracting those into our lives.
That's where the document brings up this whole idea of early programming and what they call limiting beliefs.
Okay, I'm listening. What are those?
So they say that the first 7 years of our life are super important. Our brains are in this state called theta, which is like when we're really suggestible and absorb everything around us.
Like little sponges.
Exactly. And during those years, we pick up beliefs and patterns from our environment, from our parents, our family, society in general.
So, like, if you grow up hearing that money is hard to come by or that relationships always end badly, those beliefs can kind of get stuck in your subconscious, even if you want something different as an adult.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah.
And it can create this conflict between what we consciously want and what our subconscious is programmed to believe.
Like, you might consciously want to be successful and abundant, but if deep down you believe that you're not worthy or that money is evil, It's like you're sabotaging yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the document calls these limiting beliefs energetic blocks because they literally block us from reaching our full potential.
So if we're walking around with all this negative programming from childhood, is there any hope for us? Can we actually change those beliefs?
That's the good news. The document says that just like you can update a computer program, you can reprogram your subconscious mind.
Okay, that sounds promising. But how do you actually do that?
They talk about a few different techniques like meditation, visualization, and using affirmations.
So instead of thinking, I'm not good enough, I should be visualizing myself, achieving my goals, and feeling confident and successful.
Exactly. And it's not just about picturing it in your mind, but really feeling those emotions like you've already accomplished those things.
It's like faking it till you make it, but on a deeper level.
Yeah, kind of. And the document even says to feel gratitude as if you already have what you want. It's all about aligning your energy with the things you want to attract.
This is starting to sound a lot like the law of attraction, like attracts, like, right.
Exactly. And the document seems to suggest that this whole quantum entanglement thing might actually be the mechanism behind how the law of attraction works.
Wow, okay. Now we're getting into some seriously interesting territory. So are they saying we can literally shape our reality with our thoughts?
Well, that's a really big question, and it takes us to the next part of the document where they start talking about synchronicities and this concept called the holographic universe.
Okay, I'm definitely hooked. Tell me more about those. So synchronicities, holographic universe, fill me in. What are those all about?
Okay, so synchronicities, those are like those weird coincidences that happen, like when you're thinking about someone and they call you, or you just happen to run into the right person at the right time. Like those moments where you're like, whoa, what are the chances?
Yeah, I've definitely had those moments. Like, it feels like the universe is trying to tell you something.
Right. And the document is saying that maybe it is. They say synchronicities aren't just random. They're like signs from the universe that you're on the right path, that you're aligned with what you're meant to be doing.
So instead of just brushing them off as coincidence, we should be paying attention to them, like they're little clues or something.
Exactly. They say when we start aligning our thoughts and feelings with what we really want, the universe starts sending us these synchronicities to guide us along the way.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
But what about the holographic universe thing? I gotta admit, that one's always kind of confused me.
Yeah, it's a pretty mind-bending concept. So basically, it's this theory by a physicist named David Bohm. He said that what we see as reality is actually just a projection of a deeper, more fundamental level of reality. Like, imagine a hologram. It's like a two-dimensional image, but it contains all the information of a three-dimensional object, right? So Bohm thought maybe the universe works kind of like that. Everything is interconnected and is all encoded in this deeper, non-local reality.
So even though we experience the world as all these separate things, on some deeper level, it's all connected and part of this one big energy field.
Yeah, that's the basic idea. And the document connects this back to quantum entanglement. They're saying maybe this interconnectedness, this oneness, is actually happening because of entanglement, like there are these invisible threads connecting everything in the universe.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it.
Yeah.
So if everything is entangled and connected like that, does that mean our minds are part of that big energy field too?
That's what the document seems to be saying. They think our minds aren't just stuck inside our heads, but they're actually part of this bigger field of consciousness. And they're always exchanging information and energy with the universe.
Wow. So maybe that explains things like intuition, or those times when you just know something's going to happen, even though you don't know how you know.
It's an interesting thought, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we're tapping into that deeper level of reality somehow and picking up information that our conscious minds aren't aware of.
This is getting pretty deep. But there's a part of me that's still kind of skeptical. Like, if we really have that much power to shape reality with our thoughts, why aren't we all living our best lives? Why is there still so much suffering in the world?
That's a really good question. And the document addresses that by talking about the importance of surrender and trust.
Surrender, like giving up.
Not exactly. It's more about letting go of the need to control everything and trusting that the universe knows what it's doing. They say that when we try to force things to happen, we actually create resistance.
So it's like, instead of trying to micromanage every detail of our lives, we need to let go and trust that some higher power, some universal intelligence, is guiding us towards what's best for us.
Exactly. It's about going with the flow instead of fighting against it. The more we try to control everything, the harder it becomes. They say we need to trust that the universe is conspiring to bring us what we truly desire.
That sounds nice, but letting go of control can be really hard.
For sure. It takes practice. The document talks about getting to a state of what they call vibrational certainty, where you truly believe that what you want is already on its way to you, even if you can't see it yet.
So it's about having faith, even when things aren't going the way you planned.
Exactly. They say doubt and fear create a conflicting frequency that blocks things from manifesting. But when we can cultivate this sense of certainty and trust, we align our vibration with the frequency of our desires and make it easier for them to show up in our reality.
I don't know. It's kind of like that saying, leap in the net will appear.
That's a great analogy. It's about taking action, but also being willing to surrender to the unknown and trusting that things will work out.
I like that. Okay, so this whole surrender thing is interesting, but what about when things don't go the way we hoped? Does the document talk about those times when we face setbacks and disappointments?
They do. They talk about what they call the tests of the universe.
Tests. What do they mean by that?
They say that when we start aligning with our true desires and changing our vibration, the universe will sometimes throw challenges our way to see if we're really serious about this new reality we're creating.
So it's like, okay, you say you want abundance, but let's see how you react when you lose your job.
Exactly. It's like a test of our faith and resilience. They say it's not meant to punish us, but to help us grow and become stronger.
So how do we pass these tests? What's the secret to getting through those tough times without falling back into old patterns of doubt and fear?
The key, they say, is to hold on to that new vibration, even when things get tough. Don't let the setbacks shake your belief in yourself and the power of the universe to deliver what you desire.
So even if I'm facing obstacles, I should just keep visualizing my goals and feeling those positive emotions as if they've already happened.
That's what they suggest. By staying positive and keeping the faith, we show the universe that we're committed to this change, and it strengthens that magnetic pull to attract what we want.
This is all pretty mind-blowing. We've covered so much: quantum entanglement, the subconscious mind, synchronicities, the holographic universe, surrender, these cosmic tests. It's a lot to process.
I know, right? It's a lot to take in. But even if we just take away a few key insights from this, it could really change the way we see the world and how we approach our lives.
Definitely. It's given me a whole new perspective on things. What do you think are some of the most important things for our listener to focus on?
Well, I think for me, the biggest thing is this whole idea that we're not just along for the ride, like we're actually creating our reality with every thought and feeling. And that's kind of a huge responsibility, but it's also super empowering. It really is. It makes you realize that you have to be really mindful of what you're putting out into the world. If our thoughts and emotions really are like these vibrations that can affect our reality, then we have to be careful what we're focusing on.
Totally. And that's where the subconscious mind comes in. Like the document says, those deep-seated beliefs we have can either help us achieve our dreams or they can totally sabotage us. It's like we have to do this inner work to clear out all the junk that's holding us back.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why those techniques they talk about, like meditation and visualization, they're not just some woo-woo stuff. They can actually help us reprogram our subconscious and align with what we truly want.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that. And they talk a lot about visualization, like really getting into the feeling of what you want as if it's already happened.
Right. It's not just about seeing it in your mind, but really feeling it in your body, like the joy and gratitude you'd feel if you already had that thing.
So it's like you're tricking your subconscious into believing it's already real.
Yeah, kind of. And they say when you do that, it creates this strong magnetic pull that attracts those experiences into your life. It's like you're sending out a clear signal to the universe, this is what I want.
This whole conversation has really changed how I think about manifestation. It's not just about wishing and hoping. It's about understanding how our thoughts and emotions actually shape our reality, like on a quantum level.
I think that's what's so fascinating about this document. It takes this idea that's usually talked about in spiritual circles and tries to connect it to science, even if it's still pretty theoretical.
It's definitely pushing the boundaries. But I think it's important to keep an open mind and explore these ideas, even if they sound a little out there. It's made me want to learn more about this whole quantum physics and consciousness thing.
Me too. There's still so much we don't know, but I think documents like this, even if we don't agree with everything they say, can open our minds to new possibilities.
So for our listener who's been with us on this deep dive, what's the one thing you'd want them to take away from all of this?
I think the most important thing is to remember that you have more power than you think. You have the power to create the life you want, even if it takes time and effort. And even when you face challenges, you have the strength to overcome them and come out even stronger on the other side.
I love that. Well, this has been a really thought-provoking deep dive, and I hope our listener feels inspired to explore these ideas further and see what magic they can create in their own lives.
That's a great way to put it. Thanks for joining us on this journey.
And as always, thanks for listening.